This is the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose, where I strategize with business owners on how to grow and scale their businesses to hit their income goals. This is episode 405 of the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose. Today, we're going to be talking about effective bootstrap marketing techniques with Melissa Smith. I am really excited about this conversation because many of you listening are already doing bootstrapping marketing techniques. You just may not be realizing it. And if you are listening and wanting to be able to know the best techniques that are going to work for your business and what you are trying to do, then you're going to want to make sure that you take advantage of our discount that we offer to all of our podcast listeners for insiders. We are giving you weekly trainings as well as a monthly group coaching call to make sure that you are getting the best strategies to move your business forward. All right, you guys, let's jump into this episode. Hi, Melissa. How are you? Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Jenny. I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day here. Great day to be on a podcast.
Yes, I am so excited about this conversation about effective bootstrap marketing techniques. But before we jump into that, can you actually introduce yourself and your business to my audience?
Yes, I am Melissa Smith, known as the PVA. That stands for the Personal Virtual Assistant. And I have a virtual assistant matchmaking business. And if you would say, gosh, I have never heard of such a thing, I don't know what that is. You are not alone. It just goes to show that no matter what type of business you have, no matter how niche you want to be, there's an opportunity out there for you. So I've been in business now for 9 years, remote all of them. And I match clients to the right virtual assistant based on communication strategy and ideal client fit. From that, VAs started reaching out to me and saying, hey, how do I become a VA? How do I do this? And so then I started working and coaching and consulting with people who wanted to run successful virtual assistant businesses. From there, I went on in 2017. I traveled the world while running my business, and I had people reach out to me and say, wow, you really never do go into an office. And I said, I never really do go into an office. And then I became sought out for remote work consulting, and I specialize in the hiring process. So I match clients to employees, remote assistants as well. So again, also just goes to show you that you can have something very specific, and then go deep to go wide. And bootstrap marketing helped me get there. It's what I still do because it's so cost effective.
Excellent. All right. So let's just define bootstrap marketing for me, what we mean by that.
Sure. So let's just go into marketing, because I think a lot of people confuse marketing with sales. Marketing is not sales. That's completely separate. That's another arm of your business. Marketing is how you get to sales conversations or discovery calls or whatever you want to call them. It's creating an awareness about your business so people know who to call and know that you exist. Bootstrap marketing says, hey, I don't have a lot of money here. I don't even know who I'm marketing to. I don't know who my audience is. I don't want to spend a lot of money just throwing it up against the wall and hoping that there's the right person in this group of individuals. So even within bootstrap marketing, it's very specific, because we want to find the people who want to not just give us money, but throw money at us, who would say, wow, Jenny, you are solving the problem. I cannot wait to give you this money and have you solve my problem for me. And bootstrap marketing allows you to do that without spending a lot of money.
Yes. And for me, I think it's one of the smartest ways to start, because if you start throwing money at ads through Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be, you don't know who you're trying to target. It's going to be very difficult to actually see results on the money that you are throwing at ads.
That is so true. And the first thing I tell people is follow the money trail. And maybe you're like me and you don't come from money. So you're like, what's this money trail? What does that look like? How do people with excess income, disposable income, larger budgets? How did they think? How did they spend? That's different. That's something that, we typically have to learn. And when we first start out, our natural desire is to want to help people who are like us. Like, oh, this person, they're like me, they need my help. The problem is, if they're like you, maybe they don't have a big budget either. Maybe they don't have that extra money. And so I thought when I started my business, I was going to be helping people who had businesses similar to when my husband had a business. But it's not. I needed to level up and follow that money trail. And in the beginning, I didn't know where that money trail was. I didn't know where it led. I didn't know how you got people to want to give money to you so much that they want to throw it at you. And bootstrap marketing says that's okay, because you're going to learn as you go. You're never going to be wasting money as you go. But then once you find out, now you've done all the hard work that maybe a marketing person will tell you, well, we need 3 to 6 months of budget just to figure out who our audience even is. And that may be the same whether or not maybe you've had an in-person business and now you're going online. An online shopper is different than an in-person shopper, and vice versa. So you may have to do it all over again and multiple times in your business, but it is the most cost effective. And I would say it's also one of the most rewarding ways, because once you get to a place in your business where you're scaling and you're larger and you have multiple things going on, you won't ever get to be this close with your clients on their journey.
It's that market research, right? That was so much, and
Yes.
many of us seem to think we can just skip and jump right into being able to make money from it and
Mhm.
finding the right clients. But doing the market research and understanding the problems and solutions that they need is so key. So, how do we identify and leverage low cost or no cost marketing channels to maximize reach and impact?
Well, anytime we're talking about maximizing, I think one of the words that will pop up is productive, right? But how do we stay productive? How do we maintain productivity? How do we keep it going for the long haul, right? And it's kind of the same as if you've ever been on a fitness journey, a weight loss journey. How do we keep it going even when we don't feel like it? Even when it's not first nature, even when other things want to get in the way. And we have to manage our energy levels, right? If it takes everything I have just to go to an in-person meeting, speak with someone, barely share my name because I am just so far out of my element, how realistically are you going to keep that up? Now, for me, while I'm a wallflower when it comes to personal parties and things like that, I'm extremely introverted. When it comes to my business and making money, I will not be a wallflower. I will talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime. But that worked for me. I was like fueled by adrenaline. Over the years, it's changed. My energy levels have changed for certain things and what I need to do. But you really need to start with saying, what gives me energy? What doesn't take it? And so you also have to think about, well, what can I double down on as well? You have limited time, you have limited resources, everything is so finite. Let's say you want to join a networking group. Great. Networking is and must be part of your bootstrapping. It just is. How you define networking, who you want to network with, the groups, clubs, however you want, that's all up to you. There's 1,000 ways to do it. So don't lock yourself into one way. But you're going to want to find some place that not only do you find it valuable because maybe your people are there, but the key is that they find you valuable as well. You get energy when you show up because someone says, oh, Jenny, thank goodness you're here. I just met this person the other day and they had this question and I couldn't remember what you said. Or you had said something before. Can I make this introduction for you? That gives you energy. You're like, yes, I would love to be helpful to someone. Anytime that you can layer your activities to keep your energy up, then it seems like this is not something I have to force myself to do when I have tons of clients, when I'm hiring people, when the money's coming in during my busy season. This is still going to be a priority for me because there will never be a time in your business where you will have to stop marketing. Coca-Cola, Kellogg's, Harris Teeter, gas stations, we all know them. We all use them. They never stop marketing. There always has to be an awareness. So if you can go someplace where you find it valuable to attend, people find it valuable that you attend, and then maybe there's a third element. Maybe it just makes you feel good because it's a community involvement. Maybe this is something that you're passionate about. Maybe they have really good lunch and learns or something that gives you a space. Maybe it's a place where you feel comfortable to ask questions about your business. But the more that you can get from those networking events, and maybe you're like, well, from this one, I get this, from this one, I get this, from this one, I get that. But keep it manageable, but make sure that you have both energy going in and energy coming out, and that will sustain you and make it more productive because attendance alone will not do it. Value will get you and keep you productive in that cycle.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that too is you have to continue to be consistent, which is
Yes.
also why I will often talk with my audience about the fact that with your marketing efforts, whether you're going to blog, create video content, or you're going to do a podcast, you have to, like you said, get energy from it and feel fueled so that you can consistently continue to show up so that they can rely on you, engage with you, and continue to know what to expect from you and see you as that resource that now they not only are acknowledging, but now that they trust you and want to work with you.
Absolutely, Jenny. You said it great. I tell people myself, consistency creates the best karma.
Yes, agreed. So can you establish the importance of establishing a strong brand identity and a voice in bootstrapping marketing efforts?
So I find that the brand identity comes later. These people will tell you what they want. You can't tell them. They give us money, we have to listen to them. And again, we'll see big companies who are doing this right now. Johnson & Johnson, Eddie Bauer, been around decades. They changed their logos recently because Gen Z doesn't know how to read cursive, apparently. That's their words, not mine. Those are extremely recognizable brands who changed their brand identity because of the consumer. When I first started my business, I had a bunch of different titles. It was my clients who were telling me, oh, you're like a matchmaker. Over and over and over again, they told me, oh, you're like a matchmaker. You're like a matchmaker. So what did I say? Well, everyone keeps telling me the same thing. Let me say I'm a VA matchmaker, and that worked, that stuck. And so when we're going out and we're marketing, our voice is actually secondary. We should be listening to everything everyone tells us. And then most importantly, filtering it out. So we listen and we receive from people who actually part ways with their money. Everyone has an opinion. Unless people are actually spending money with you and on your services, they don't have the same weighted opinion because they've already shown some kind of trust in us. They've already said, I like what you're doing. I'm already willing to, give you this money. So their opinion matters more than others who don't and possibly will never purchase your services. But going out and spending money on a lot of things that are the fun part. They're like the sexy part of business, right? Creating a logo, creating your colors, all the things that people love to do. I was actually fortunate. I don't love to do any of those things. So I didn't have to worry about spending money on them right up front. But had I done that, it's the same as my marketing. I would have lost so much money because my clients are very specific. And I would have created something that was very specific to me, but not to them. And so, yes, do something, have, yourself in there, be polished, but the number of people who are still using cursive that you can't read, who want to use yellow, they haven't understood the psychology of colors yet, nor how does it come up in print? How does it come up in poster? How does it look boldly on places? What does it do on a website? What colors you can combine it with? When you start to do that, you're in a really different place, and you actually want to, again, then do research about it. these big companies that we think we just take it for granted that's so simple. It's not. Every time they change, they have done tons and tons of market research. And years ago, Weight Watchers did their redesign and it tanked hundreds of millions of dollars. They tanked. People at the company didn't even know what they were doing because everything has to have real meaning. It can't just mean something to us. It has to mean something from others. And so if you want to start with people who you're like, well, look, my business is about marketing, so I need to have a marketing. Well, then by all means, absolutely. If you are doing marketing or logos or websites yourself, then you have a leg up on other people. But if you're like me and you're creating a service-based business and you're figuring out who my clients are, you're looking for the money trail, you're trying to get steady income coming in, come up with something that is basic, that is professional, that meets your clientele, right? If you're like more fun and hip, then make it more fun and hip. Don't make it corporate, of course. But if you're like me and you had no idea where that money trail was, just find some neutrals out there. Find something that you feel is professional, that expresses you. So for me, that was always business casual. My clients come from a very strong corporate background, but they no longer are in corporate. So we like to say we work at the speed of startup, but with the professionalism of corporate. And so we just keep those things in mind. But you don't have to be fearful of competing with bigger names, bigger products, because like it or not, you are your brand. Everything you do is your brand, your identity. Every time you post, every time you are on a podcast, every time you write an article, every time you tweet, whatever it is, that is your brand identity. So if you have to watch anything, if you want to make sure that someone really knows who you are and what they're getting when they work with you or when they buy your product or service, absolutely, it is you. So be very careful and know explicitly what you're putting out into the world because a Google search will pull up a lot of things.
Hey there, guys. My name is Melanie from Mostly Under Control, and I am a member of Jenny's Influencer Entrepreneurs Insiders membership. I've been a part of it since 2017, and over these 6 years, I've taken full advantage of the weekly trainings that Jenny offers and the monthly group coaching. The group coaching is probably my favorite part of the membership. Jenny has taught me so many things for my business. She helped me niche down and write and teach about what I wanted so that I wouldn't burn out. In addition to what she teaches, the networking I've done with other members has been invaluable. I recommend her membership to all of my online business owner friends because it is worth every single penny.
Yes, I think that this is the reason that any of my clients, one of the first things I walk them through is their positioning, understanding what makes them unique in the market space, and then combining it with their core values. Because when you know what your core values are, it's much easier to attract clients that are going to value those and know what direction you're trying to take them in with whether you are service or product based. It's really understanding and having that confidence to step into your positioning, what you're going to serve them with for your ultimate outcome of your business, I believe.
That's awesome and great advice. And everyone should really listen to what you're saying. And, if they haven't had a chance to work with you yet and they're, thinking, oh, I don't know, I'm not there yet. And they're like, I've tried to work through my core values. Is this right? Is this I'm on? If you're someone like me, you would say, well, what are my deal breakers? If you can't narrow down your core values, because confidence is something, you're afraid, well, what if this eliminates somebody? Which is the whole purpose, but we won't get into that right now. But if they aren't confident in their core values, like you make your clients, well, then where do you start? You start with your deal breakers. What are you not willing to do? What are you not willing, like what boundary won't you go? What audience are you not serving? There's a lot of different ways to do that. And those will help you get to those core values and understand them better. So that's great advice. But if you're not confident enough yet, don't worry about that. It'll come. If you get to work with Jenny, then great. But just start with your deal breakers. Don't cross those because those are you've set those for yourself. In bad times, you might be willing to be like, well, just for this one time, you will never make a worse decision.
Agreed. It's much smarter to be able to fire the clients that are not the right fit prior to having
Yes.
to work with them. Yes, agreed. So, how do you measure the success of bootstrapping marketing initiatives, and what key metrics should entrepreneurs track to determine if they are actually seeing success from it?
It's the same as you would for paid, right? How many people did I reach? How many people reached out to me? How many calls or conversations did I have? How many people took me up on my free offer? These are all key metrics. And when I did it, let me tell you, I had a poster board in my office. It cost me like 50 cents. I took a ruler, I had my Sharpie, didn't cost me anything, so I had that. And I literally made lines, and then I made it out for 60 days, because we're talking about consistency here, not a week, not a month. I needed 2 months. If it was 90 days, even better. But once that 60 days got filled up, I got another poster board and I slapped it up right next to it. And I kept track of that, and I could see how I was doing, how often I was doing it, how consistent I was. Because if we just want to end with, well, how many clients did I get? How many units did I sell? How much money am I making? Well, that will never get you to that place. There's a lot of things that have to happen for every company before we can get there. And if you would say, wow, I didn't make any sales today, how many people did I reach? How many people did I talk to? How many networking events did I go to? And all those are zero. Well, then guess what? You also don't have to feel bad. You don't have to feel like, oh, I guess no one wants what I have. Oh, I guess I thought I could do this thing, but I can't. And I guess the market's too saturated. You can clearly look at your board, take the feelings out of it and say, oh, well, I didn't reach out to anyone. No one reached out to me. I didn't follow up on any emails. I didn't go to any networking events. And then it takes the personal out of it, because you can say, I just didn't do the actions. Same with if on your fitness or health journey, you're like, wow, I didn't lose any weight this week, and you're like, well, let's see. I didn't exercise 3 times. I only exercised 1 time. And I did have extra food. I went over my calorie count like 3 days. And I said I wasn't going to drink on Friday, and I drank all weekend long. Then you're like, well, yeah, now I don't feel bad because I know exactly why. But I mean, if you do all the things and you're like, I didn't, then now's the time that we can reassess, which is really the next step that we do it. Okay, I did all those things. Why didn't anyone call me? And that's where you might work with your clients and say, what were we saying? What was our message? Was this consistent? And if everything's on point, well, then you can say, great. Well, now I'm going to do it again next week. And I'm going to do it again next week. And that compound interest, is going to build up, because it just has to. You just can't put that much out into the world, even wrong, right? Even a broken clock is right twice a day. You can't put that much out and get nothing in return. Every action has a reaction. So no action means no reaction into your business.
Yes. We always say that the success of your business is from 3 months prior. You have to be able to know what it is. What is it that is working well? Is it a podcast? Is it a networking event? And being able to see, is one networking event better than the other, so that you're not necessarily wasting your time in some that are just not going to actually end up in any sort of results at all. So, Melissa, you have a successful VA workbook. Can you tell us a little bit about that? That we're going to make sure that we link to it in the show notes so everyone can grab it, but tell us a little about what we can expect to learn from it.
Sure. So it's geared to VAs, but it'll work for any business, because it's really having you target your ideal client, your ideal customer, and you're really making them up in your head. And when I say we're going to weird science this, for those of you who understand that movie, we are. Because you want to speak this person into existence. You want to be able to see them and know them. That will answer your other questions. So it'll walk you through those steps. It'll also allow you to have space to create mile markers. So those mile markers are just like what I described as having those objectives and KPIs on your board, right? I did this. I got to this point. Good for me. I ran a marathon, my first marathon last year. And each time I got to that mile marker, it was like, okay, another one down. Okay, let's keep going. But then when I got to the mile markers that I've never been to, so if no one's ever trained for a marathon before, you don't actually run 26.2 miles before you run the whole thing. And I'm like, what? That doesn't sound right. So when I got to those 21, 22, 23, I'm seeing them for the first time. Now I'm closer to the finish, and it actually sparks sensories in your brain to get excited. I'm farther than I've ever been. I'm closer than I've ever come. I'm there. And it gives you this energy and this push to keep going those last 6.2 miles. And the same is true for your business. And so you just want to get really clear and you want to see it. You want to know it. And that will answer all your questions. Where are my clients? Well, where do my clients hang out? Why are my clients spending money? What are they spending money on right now? What are they reading? What trends are they looking for? What are they expecting? What language are they using now as opposed to 5 years ago? It will help you do all those things. And from there, you can follow them, take their lead, and then be able to show up and serve them. Because the best thing that you can do for your ideal client is be able to have them tell you, wow, you said what I was thinking. You answered all my questions before I could even say them because you're so on the same page. You will be that authority. So they will trust you because they know this person thinks like I do, right? People don't want as much difference in their life as they claim. They don't know how to be different, but they want someone who's on the same page with them. I could tell them I can get you to this destination, but they're like, but you don't talk like Jenny does. Jenny says what I say. Jenny's like took the words out of my mouth. And that's because that would be like, they would be your client instead. And you want to be able to do that. And, you know, the great thing about it is when you are so clear, others are so clear. We always think, oh, everything has to come from me when we start. But bootstrap marketing says, I'm going to tell everybody what I do. When someone calls me and says, hey, what's new? You're like, oh, I have this business. I have this service. I have this product. This is what I'm doing. This is who it's for. This is where you can find it. And guess what? Now we have other people also sending people to us because they are so clear. But you know what someone won't do? They won't refer anyone to you if they're like not really clear what's happening, not really clear what you're doing. So this workbook is all about getting clear so that you know, so that you can tell people and so that other people can tell people and so that you can answer your own question about your clients.
So good. Excellent. We are going to link to that in the show notes so we can make sure that everyone grabs that. Where else is like a good place to connect with you if they have any follow-up questions?
Sure, you can go to my website, thepva.com. I'm on LinkedIn all the time, Melissa Smith, the PVA. And, you know, I like to tell, you know, you don't have to memorize anything that you can look up. So you don't have to do a bunch of searches before you contact me. If you have a question, if you want to hash something out, if you even have like, hey, I did that, it didn't work. Why are you saying this? Like, I'm happy to have those conversations too, because I remember what it's like to be there. But, you know, the people who don't ever get answers are the people who don't ever ask questions. So don't hesitate. I'm here for it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Melissa, for taking the time to speak with me and my audience. I truly appreciate it.
My pleasure, Jenny. Thank you.
All right. Well, there you have it. Make sure that you go and grab Melissa's guide. It is going to be able to help you to really get clear on your messaging and what you are trying to do when you are reaching out to your audience and attracting potential leads, clients, and an audience in general. As always, I appreciate y'all so much for listening in. If you haven't already left a podcast review, I would so appreciate it if you took the time to do it. Just pop into your favorite podcasting app that you are listening on, leave a rating, and leave me a quick couple sentences what your biggest takeaway was from this episode or the podcast in general. All right, you guys, until next time, I will see you all then.